this conversation.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Chiropractic Universe? I am super excited today to be here with my friend, Dr. Stephen Franson, and we've been trying to get this thing locked down for months.
This is going to be awesome, Jay. This is going to be awesome.
It is. I just feel terrible it took so long. But before we get started, Stephen, I just want to make sure that I read your bio because it is impressive and you're doing great things in chiropractic. So let me just quickly just read this so the audience knows more about you. So Dr. Stephen Franson is a true champion of the chiropractic wellness lifestyle who packs deep experience from over 20 years of clinical practice. Known as the systems guy, Franson is the founder of The Remarkable Practice, an innovative coaching and consulting company that helps DCs create a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life. Stephen is also co-founder of Chiro Matchmakers, a specialized placement service that matches the right chiropractor with the right opportunity. A sought-after international speaker, author, we're going to talk about his book today, and teacher of chiropractic business success, Franson was listed as one of the top 25 most influential chiropractors in 2017, but pretty much I think it's every year. You can read his best-selling book, The Remarkable Practice, the definitive guide to creating a successful chiropractic practice. He graduated from the University of Vermont in 1991 and Life in 96 and opened Franson Family Chiropractic in 97, which became one of the largest wellness clinics literally in the world. He lives a remarkable life in New Hampshire, so jealous about that, with his wife Camilla and their two children, Sam and Emma Grace. You can usually find them on the beach, enjoying their family favorite pastime, surfing the frigid waters of New England all year round. So dude, so good to see you.
Worse than it sounds, Jay. That water's cold, man.
I know. Oh, trust me. I get it. I totally get it. So Stephen, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I know you're a super busy guy. You know, we talked a little bit about your practice, your consulting company in the background, but you have like thousands of people who are part of the Remarkable Practice, yes?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And how many countries?
Oh, that's an awesome question. I don't know. In a lot of countries where I know that 60% of our practice we consider it a coaching practice is in the US. A little over 40% is around the world. So we're really international. Over 20% in Australasia. So I know Meg was just on there and we were talking about Australia. So we're all over the place. And I love that. I love the perspective that brings.
It's amazing. And look, there's a lot of practice management, practice coaches out there. I'd love for you to share with the audience kind of what your mojo is all about. Like what makes the Remarkable Practice different? And quite frankly, I've heard you speak and I love your message, but let's share it with the world.
So in a nutshell, you know, our tagline is it's about creating a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. So you and I have been around this long enough, Jay. We see this plenty of quote unquote successful practices out there, but very often it comes at quite a price, right? So there's a lot of brokenness in our world, and it's usually just a reflection of that in chiropractic, in our industry. We're not immune to that. So I just always thought, after experiencing some of that brokenness myself, after building such a successful practice, that man, it just was not going to be sustainable doing what we're doing. And my wife, Camilla, who's Dr. Camilla, we met in school. We met at the first quarter party at Life, 38 years ago, Life University. We've been together ever since that night. We've been together since that party, which has been awesome. It's been one big party, right?
That's great. I love that.
Well, in our practice, the original Remarkable Practice, you know, we had a lot of success, learned a lot from the success, but learned more from the failures, and just recognized that, you know, there had to be a better way to do this. So we set out to do just that. So fast forward, you know, we had tremendous success. You know, we taught the principle. We were really committed to teaching chiropractic. We educated patients to make sure that they understood what it took to be a partner with us and helping them take back hope and responsibility for getting better health outcomes. We really drove great teams. We just built and created these amazing teams that, you know, is, I think, the key to every business success. A big part of that was our associate doctor program. So we're really serious clinicians and really committed to patient education. So we attracted some of these top doctors. I had 39 associate doctors in the practice. So it was just like just an amazing opportunity. And it wasn't because they came and they quit because I'm a terrible boss. They just stayed with us for 2 years. It was more of an apprenticeship where I would teach them how to do and recreate what we were doing. So that was really what birthed the Remarkable Practice system. So we could teach doctors how to do what we were doing, you know, and it wasn't relying on a personality or, you know, some personal power, or, you know, we would teach them, how to be great empathetic connectors and how to be great communicators and teaching them the efficiencies of systems, et cetera. So, we ended up selling the practice because our coaching business was just very organically growing, and it just started blowing up. And at one point I was just riding two horses, and I felt very conflicted because the practice needed a strong leader. Sold it to one of my awesome associate doctors. It was actually a couple, and they're just done spectacular with it. I'm so proud of them. And then we've just blown up this amazing, remarkable practice community, just awesome tribe, great team of expert coaches. A client once referred to us. He said, "It's great. It's not the Franson show. You guys have like the Hall of Justice, right? Like all these superheroes who have different specialties." And I just loved that imagery, so we just took that on immediately. And we actually call our tribe the Remarkables. And, when it comes to what do we do as a group, that I think is our distinction, is we actually created this construct for the industry where we said there's really 4 seasons that are available to every chiropractor, the 4 seasons of their career, right? So there's launch, build, scale, and exit, right? So I say available because for most docs, they actually try to get away with doing it in just 3. And by docs, I mean those that are practice owners, right? So what we did is we settled it down and we said, you know what, there are 4 seasons. That first season of launch is really your first year out. When you're just trying to figure it out, you're just trying to figure out how to be a chiropractor. You're trying to figure out, you just realize you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. You're just trying to cobble together like your clinical skills and patient communication and marketing, et cetera. You're really just trying to figure it out, and you don't even know what you don't know. You lack a lot of clarity, certainty, conviction around what you're doing, et cetera. And you're at that point just trying to get busy, right? So then you graduate into build. Build is that second year and beyond, which is where you are mastering chiropractic. You're mastering the skills associated with your clinical skills, case management, communications. You start hiring a group of people and some employees around you, and you really start getting into your role as an entrepreneur. And very often these docs have a lot of success in this place in their life, but ultimately they own a job, not a business, right? So they love their job. We love the work, and it's a glorious season of our career, but you own a job, right? So this is where a lot of docs get stuck, and they try to spend their entire career there and build as the owner operator, where there's a lot of exposure because, not only the busier you get, the more successful you get, the more overwhelmed you get and out of balance with life. And usually there's time freedom issues, and you end up getting held hostage by this practice that you're building and really paint yourself into a corner. And you're really exposed because God forbid anything happens to you. So, we teach that you shouldn't try to spend your whole career there because it really doesn't end well either, because these doctors try to jump into the 4th season, which is exit. And really that's when you're trying to find a successor or for somebody to buy your practice, and nobody wants to buy your job. So that doesn't end well, right? So we've introduced this 3rd season that's available to docs, and it's called scale, right? Yeah. And scalability is really where you take your job and turn it into a business, right? So, and I really think that that's what we should be talking about here today, because I know, I assumed reading from the title that that's what your guys expecting me to bring today. We're going to talk about the CEO. Well, we'll talk about this 2-step process of how do you take your practice and take it from a job that you love to a business that you love even more. That's where you start bringing in other professionals like other chiropractors, so you can create scalability, right? And which means you can do more, give more, love more, serve more, bigger impact, bigger income, but it doesn't have to all be done by you, right? So then there's durability, which is even harder to achieve, which is give more, love more, serve more, deliver more value, capture more value. In other words, make a bigger impact, bigger income, even in your absence, right? So this is where you claw back that time freedom. And of course, now you're building it to sell it, right? So if you do this properly, you'll create a business that people will compete to buy. So then you go into that 4th season much more gracefully and profitably, right? So as you go in to make that exit onto the next thing, next chapter, whatever your legacy play is, it's going to be business as usual. And your tribe will still be there getting the care that you've taught them that they need. You've made sure that you've got a great successor. Your team has a great place to continue the mission, and it continues without you. So those are the 4 seasons, Jay. That's what we do. We meet doctors where they're at in their current season, help them optimize that, and then help them transition and navigate into the next season gracefully and profitably.
I love it, man. And I'll tell you what, there were a lot of gems there. I wish I had pen and paper. I was like, I wanted to write down some things so I wouldn't forget, but we could probably be at this all day.
Don't worry, I did.
There was, yeah, but there were other questions that I want to get into because, people see guys like you and they're like, okay, well, that's him. I can't do that. So I want to start with something that you said really early on, which is the failures being even more important, learning more from those failures sometimes than we do our successes. So can you share with the audience, like, what stands out for you in terms of a failure that really helped you change and improve your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I always tell people, if you're looking for the coach who's like done it all right, it's just totally perfect, and has never made the mistakes and has just had this, I'm like, I ain't the guy. Right? So,
I ain't that guy either.
I ain't the guy. I teach from scar tissue. And really, I just want to help people avoid the pain
Yes.
that I've been through, right? And it is, God is good, and he helps you figure those things out, and it'll keep kicking your ass until you figure it out. And then once you figure it out, you got to be able to reproduce it, and then you got to be able to teach others how to reproduce it. So we're like really committed to making sure that this is we say remarkable does not imply perfect, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this. It's all about creating a system and following a system that's proven to work regardless of who you are, what type of leader you are, what your personality is. And really, I think what's relevant to this conversation, whatever you're doing clinically, right? It's because business is business, people are people. This applies regardless of where you are. I guarantee if people listen and they put into play 15% of what I'm going to talk about here today, they're going to see their business grow and their life's going to get better.
Yeah. And they got to read the book, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, but I'm not letting you off the hook, bro. I want to hear, like, what is that failure that stands out to you? Or like, that was a pivotal moment for me.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of scar tissue, I'm looking at my head.
Yeah, scar tissue.
In this way, look at this bang on my head. So I wish I had a sexy story for you, because I spent all day surfing, like you read in my bio. Yeah. My kids and we did this awesome critical surf in New Hampshire on Sunday. It was just so awesome. Total gnarly, like 8 hours in the water all day Sunday. And then I came home and I bent over to turn a light on in my house, and I smashed my head on a baluster and almost knocked myself out. I'm like,
no injury surfing, turning on a light.
How did I get through the entire day? I literally almost knocked myself out.
All right, failure.
That's just the part. That's just the space that I've been hitting as I've been banging my head on the wall during this COVID crisis. That's the mark that's left. Exactly. All right. So where do we start?
Just give us the one that stands out for you that maybe was really pivotal, but that you think the audience could learn from.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made the biggest mistake, which is in early on the first 5 or 10 years in practice. I made the experience for the patient. It was about the adjustor, not the adjustment. Mm-hmm. I made it about the chiropractor, not the chiropractic. Mm-hmm. And that was a big mistake, because, as I was surrounded by these interns and apprentices and associate doctors, et cetera, I was being elevated by that because people saw what was going on. It's like, wow, you must be good, doc. There's all these docs coming in. And instead of deflecting that, like I learned to do, instead I was absorbing it. Right. And next thing you know, it did become the Franson show. So, that served us to a level, right? But then I recognized it was totally off purpose, right? It was totally off mission. And what I had to do is I had to have, my attitude adjustment around that, and recognize that, man, I'm not serving these patients this way, and I'm certainly not serving the mission or chiropractic this way. So we had to go through like a very arduous 5 or 10 year turnaround. It's like a big ship to turn that thing around, as I brought on associate doctors and really started to distribute the care across all these doctors. When we had a retention-based practice, like our PVA was over 300 for more than 15 years, which means the average patient that started with us stayed for more than 300 visits. So, I mean, do the math on that. As far as these people were sticking around, and they started to just they just expected me, and I had to really shift that boat. So if anybody's hearing me right now, there's probably some people shaking their head being like, yeah, man, I've painted myself into that corner, and what a mistake. I wish somebody had told me that early on. So, it's making sure that it stays about the chiropractic, not the chiropractor, and make sure you're elevating all the adjustors, because ultimately there's always plenty of credit. You gotta make sure you give the credit and just, disperse it around the rest of the team. A real leader recognizes is about them getting smaller and their team getting bigger. And that's a lifelong pursuit.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I'm thinking about Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. And chapter 1 is, level 5 leader, and level 5 leaders are, they're humble. There's a high level of humility there. That's right. And then the second chapter is first to then what? It's all about people and teams. And you mentioned teams earlier as you were discussing kind of the philosophy and the framework around the remarkable practice. And I know that you know a lot about assembling high quality teams. So what can you share that's actionable? What can you share that's actionable with the audience today? Remember, this is a group of international sports chiropractors, amazing clinicians, do a great job with their patients, committed to chiropractic, committed to the athletes that they serve, but they need help, right? They can't do it alone. So what is it that they can learn today that can help them build a remarkable team?
There's no question about it. It is my number one favorite topic to speak about.
Love it.
So I have 5 businesses today. And 4 out of the 5 are 7-figure, multiple 7-figure businesses. The 5th one is a startup. And I'm not saying that to impress you, but to impress upon you is like, there's no freaking way you can do that.
Yes,
there is no way I can do that.
Okay? Oh, not you individually.
But I have great teams that absolutely can do that. Right. So, it is the absolute key to this, right? So to recognize that you don't have to be awesome at everything, Doc. You need to build a team that's awesome at everything, right? And that is the absolute key to this. Practice building, business building is simply team building. 95% of your problems are people problems, according to the group over at Jeff Smart's group. Now I'm losing my thought on that. So the premise around team building is just to recognize there's something called the 4 rights that you've got to get right. So this is what it comes down to as a leader of a great team is you've got to have the right people in the right seats doing the right work the right way.
Yep. So
that's your actionable thing. This is like, stop right now and just ask yourself, do I have the right people on my team? Do I have them in the right role? Do I have them doing the right work the right way? I'll be honest with you, Jay, that first one, do I have the right people, is the hardest one to get right. So you got to make sure you have A players that they share your core values and they buy into your vision story. And the A players is the hardest one because it does feel nebulous, right? So it does feel super subjective where you're like, everybody knows you're an A player and then there's everyone else, right? So you just have to make that hard and fast commitment. It's A players only, and I won't tolerate anything else. And I won't stop working, seeking, searching until I fill up my team with A players that share my core values and buy into my vision story.
Yeah, 100%. And, you said something there and I don't want it to be missed. Sharing the core values is really, really important. A lot of chiropractors that, when I'm speaking around the world, they don't even have their mission statement and the core values written. And I'm like that is a fundamental element of your business. Like you have to know who you are, what you believe, and how you behave. And if you're going to recruit the right people, that's got to be super clear because they've got to align with that. So so many chiros that I talk to, I'm like, look, your next task is to really get this right. And it makes a huge difference. So
there's a misunderstanding for what core values are. And people roll their eyes when you start talking about core values. And I'm like, I'm telling you, don't roll your eyes. Because it always comes back to this. This is a foundational element. Yep. Core values it's not marketing fodder, right? No. It's not something that's meant to go on your website or hang on a placard in your waiting room and people go, oh, that sounds nice. It sounds like a nice place. That's not what this is. Core values, when you're building a team, they're the lens through which you hire and fire, right? That's exactly right. You've got to be able to say to people when you're hiring them, Jay, okay, so these are the core values of this business. And this is what you can expect from me and the rest of this team. And everyone on this team is going to expect this from you, right? So it's like, and we hire by these and we fire by these. It's really serious stuff.
It's so good, man, because I made the mistake for years on hiring for skills, right? Oh, they've got this certification. They could do rehab, grass, and I'm going to hire this person. And finally, when we had some serious business challenges, I was like, okay, I'm doing this all wrong. And I had to literally be schooled and like, okay, now I understand. And it's made a huge difference. I've got like the best teams. And it makes my life so much easier because I've got a great amount of freedom, which,
I can see it in your face. I see the smile.
Yeah. I feel very lucky.
It puts a smile on your face, right?
Yeah. I'm very lucky and I'm very great. Every morning, like I use my 5-minute journal app and like usually my team is on my gratitude list like multiple times per week because they are phenomenal people and I love working with them. They're like family to me. Okay. So
that's where all your joy or all your stress comes from, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was Top Grading was the book I was making.
Oh yeah, Top Grading, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be the root of your joy or the root of your stress. One or the other. Your team's critical.
100%. So people, process, purpose are things that I'm always thinking about and talking about with my team.
That's right.
Top grading is great, by the way. You can Google it. That's a great way
Great
to
resource.
evaluate for. Yep, exactly. Thank you, Stephen. That's great. Lastly, I know we're running out of time, but I want you to just share, your book. Tell people how they can learn more about you, learn more about your book, how they might be able to get your book. There it is.
Yeah. So my son Sam is 17 years old, Samuel, and he says he wants to be a chiropractor. So we have 7 chiropractors in our family. So our kids, I think by the time they're 8, 9 years old, they figured out that not everybody's a chiropractor. Right? So like if you're a chiropractic family, everybody knows what I mean by that. It's like we always spend our time with his chiropractors, right? So he says he wants to be a chiropractor at this point, which is awesome. So I wrote this book for him. So, this is the definitive guide of creating the remarkable practice. And literally I go through what I call the 6 sides of the Rubik's Cube, which is solving the puzzle of practice success. So, we go incrementally, go all the way through everything from your vision and having clarity around what does success look like for you. And that's of course based on your core values. We talk about leadership, like who do you need to become to get to the next level of your practice? Like what's the next level of leadership for you? We talk, of course, about systems. I'm the systems guy. So everything has to be systematized so that you can create scalability and durability and just predictable excellence, right? So we talk about attraction or marketing. We talk about conversion process. We talk about retention, which is of course our fastball, and then team building, which is just such a giant one. So there's a dedicated chapter on putting together a world-class team and what does that look like and how do you accomplish that? So all those elements are in there. And then we go through the description of what I call training. So it's about training and equipping and developing your people so that you can create just this extraordinary team-driven practice. And then the last chapter is on energy, because as you know, energy is everything, right? So as the CEO, you're the chief energy officer, not the chief everything officer. Your job is to be able to collect and direct all of the energy of everybody in your team so you can make the biggest impact and the biggest income.
So how can people get a hold of you, brother? How can they learn more?
I'm easy to find. Go to theremarkablepractice.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just go to The Remarkable Practice. We have a free group you can join. We have a private group. They just that we've got thousands of docs in there. And we just give so much away in there. There's lots of content. Our coaches hang out in there, and our tribe is really generous. That's a great place to find us. And of course, I'll put a link in here down below to get a copy of the ebook, right? So we're going to give everybody, anybody's interested, we're going to give the book as an ebook, which is the entire book in its entirety. So everybody's going to get an opportunity to get that. And for the first person that writes remarkable in all caps down here in the comments for the show notes, I'll get you a signed copy. I'll shoot it right out to you. So
nice.
First person to write remarkable, you get it.
All right. I love it, bro. I love it. Hey, listen, man, thanks so much for spending time with us today. And appreciate you. I love the way that you think about business and life. You are one impressive dude, a chiropractic warrior, and I appreciate you. So thank you, and hope to see you soon, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for all you're doing for chiropractic. This is just awesome stuff. I hope I added value for your people, everybody. Just appreciate you for what you're doing. What the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs right now is more successful chiropractors. So keep up the fight.
Amen, brother. See you soon.
Thanks, Jay.